council members who make our decisions of whether what kind of dog I get to own or rescue, for that matter. I mean, this is the most misaligned, abused breed in the history of America, and we clearly have a law that targets a breed that is so ineffective. Why? You know, our statistics don't show the criminal history of these previous owners, the history of the dog. Is it spay-neutered? The environment, was it tethered? Was it chained? None of that is taken into consideration, when in fact, it is the most important part of the statistic.
Imagine if you could never get away from the 5 feet that you lived in. Okay, so just for a moment as a human, imagine if you were chained to something and you could never move. Okay, now, look at it from a dog's perspective. That is stressful. If you see people constantly going back and forth and you never get to greet them, and when you are in the presence of people, you're probably not being treated all that well, you're being ignored, you might be being beaten or yelled at. Most of the time, the media never looks at this as what is the human doing? What is the socialization history of this dog? What is the training this dog is receiving? And it's usually a perfect storm when this happens.
Now to other news, football star Michael Vick began paying the price today for his role in a dogfighting conspiracy. After Vick signed a plea agreement, the NFL suspended him indefinitely without pay.
Dogfighting fuels breed-specific legislation and breed bans. Irresponsible owners are really the problem here, and irresponsible owners are dogfighters.
You cannot train a dog to fight. You can't. They either have it or they don't. When you look at dog fighting, and you look at 2 dogs fighting, you're looking at 2 very rare dogs. That's the exception. This is why Michael Vick was killing so many dogs, because they didn't want to fight. Kids aren't supervised, the dogs are poorly socialized, they haven't been trained properly, there's more than 1 dog, dogs that are neutered or unspayed. They're more sensitive when they're in estrus or when they've got tons of testosterone coursing through them, especially, if there's puppies involved. And then we have dogs who are roaming, dogs who are just running the streets. They may have a home, they may not, but they're not being humanely contained. And that's the criteria that surrounds all of these incidences, is that these dogs are not in the hands of responsible people.
Is the owner a criminal? Should they even have a dog in the first place?
A criminal who could care less. He feels that that's just property to make him money, to shield his drugs.
You take their dog, they're just going to get another one. It doesn't matter. Their dog's not part of the family.
Exotic and appealing to certain types of people as well, and that adds, unfortunately, a negative aspect.
When you make a dog illegal, you increase its desirability exponentially.
Go get the 2-legged animals on the other end of the leash and stop picking on the 4-legged ones. They're the beasts, they're the animals, not the dogs.
Violence is a learned behavior, and in many cases, these young men and women are taught subliminally and practically that pit bulls particularly are animals of violence. And it breeds a culture of violence in the community. It adds abuse to the animal, and it also desensitizes the youth.
The largest at-risk group is between the ages of 13 and 17. Those are the most at risk for getting involved in this. So get into the schools, get to the kids, and let them know that this is not the way to go.
And understand that no major animal organization or organization that is knowledgeable about dog aggression believes that these kinds of bans are effective. And that includes the National Association of Animal Control Officers, the Centers for Disease Control, the American Veterinary Medical Association.
Any community that has BSL and you look at the costs associated to it versus the objective, it's out of whack. It doesn't make sense. They still have dog bites. They haven't gone up or down. They've pretty much stayed the same. The population of the breeds they're trying to ban are still holding steady. And for what? For more costs? You could take a fraction of the money it costs to have a breed ban and you could educate the entire community, dog owners and non-dog owners, so that everybody is educated about dog behavior.